Bluebeam, cats, dogs and the big picture. A place where practical pet care wisdom meets fearless inquiry into the world's biggest unanswered questions, from training your dog with kindness to asking hard questions about manufactured threats and the people who profit from fear. Explore pet tips. Read the deep dives. Conspiracy Watch. The fake alien invasion, Project Bluebeam. The claim known as Project Bluebeam alleges that powerful institutions, chiefly military-industrial interests, are planning or actively rehearsing a staged extraterrestrial event. The goal, according to researchers and whistleblowers, would not be genuine contact with another civilization but rather a manufactured global crisis designed to justify sweeping geopolitical changes, astronomical arms budgets, and the erosion of individual national sovereignty. The idea is not entirely fringe. It follows a recognizable pattern: identify a threat no nation can fight alone, watch defense spending skyrocket, and watch personal freedoms quietly disappear in the name of collective security. Whether you find the specific claims credible or not, the underlying dynamic, fear as a policy instrument, has clear historical precedent. Historical context. Reagan's UN speech, a unifying alien threat? In 1987, U.S. President Ronald Reagan delivered a now famous aside during a speech to the United Nations General Assembly. He mused, almost casually, about how quickly the world's differences would dissolve if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. The remark was widely reported as whimsical, even charming. Critics and researchers read it differently. They argue Reagan was not speculating, he was previewing. If a universally unknown enemy could unite rival nations under a single defensive umbrella, the institutional beneficiaries would be those already positioned to lead that defense, the military-industrial complex and the global financial structures tied to it. The speech is a touchstone in Project Bluebeam discussions precisely because it names the mechanism so plainly: shared fear as the ultimate political glue. Reagan's verbatim words, 1987. I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. UN General Assembly, September 21, 1987. The pattern, from symmetric to asymmetric war. Stage 1. Symmetric wars between nations. Stage 3. Unknown enemy, fake alien invasion. Stage 2. Asymmetric terrorism, no borders. The logic attributed to aerospace pioneer Wernher von Braun, and repeated by his longtime colleague and confidant Carol Rosin, describes a deliberate sequence of threat narratives, each designed to sustain and grow the arms industry when the previous justification runs out. Nations fight nations until détente. Then stateless terror takes over. Then the enemy unknown arrives, an adversary so undefined that defense budgets have no logical ceiling. Understanding the pattern is the first step to refusing it. Whistleblower record. The Disclosure Project and Carol Rosin's warning. The National Press Club Disclosure Project, 2001, brought dozens of military, intelligence, and aerospace witnesses on record to testify about unidentified aerial phenomena and, critically, about the weaponization of space. Among the most striking testimonies was that of Carol Rosin, who worked directly under Wernher von Braun in his final years. Rosin stated that von Braun explicitly warned her about a sequence of fabricated enemy narratives: the Soviet threat, rogue nations, terrorists, asteroids, and finally, the extraterrestrial card. His concern was not that these threats were entirely imaginary, but that they would be systematically exaggerated and ultimately manufactured to keep money flowing into weapons development. His instruction to her was simple: when they play the alien card, speak up. Technology claim. HARP and psychotronic fields, the tech layer. What is HARP? The High Frequency Active Auroral Research Program, HARP, is a real ionospheric research installation in Alaska, jointly operated by military and civilian agencies. Its stated purpose is atmospheric science. Critics argue its capabilities, broadcasting powerful radio frequency energy into the upper atmosphere, could theoretically be adapted for purposes far beyond weather research, including large-scale sensory manipulation at a population level, The Bluebeam hypothesis suggests HARP-class technology could be used to project convincing audiovisual phenomena into the sky, or even directly stimulate perceptual responses in large populations, lending physical reality to a staged event. Psychotronic fields, the claim. Separate from HARP, the term psychotronic refers to theoretical devices or field-based systems said to influence brain states wirelessly. The suggestion is that advanced brain-computer neurointerface (BCNI) technology could induce false sensory perceptions, visual, auditory, haptic, in targeted individuals or groups, without their knowledge or consent. This is distinct from legitimate neurofeedback research, which aims to help individuals regulate their own brain states therapeutically. The ethical distinction matters. Science in service of healing versus technology deployed for manipulation are not the same thing. BCNI, augmented reality without the headset. Imagine an augmented reality headset, but instead of projecting images onto a screen in front of your eyes, the system projects directly into your perceptual layer, using your brain as the display device. Described this way, the concept of wireless neural interface manipulation moves from science fiction into a space that serious researchers in neuroscience and defense acknowledge as theoretically plausible. The claim goes further, that such a system could be applied to dynamic real-world scenes, making an observer perceive another person speaking to them, or a craft in the sky, or a crowd event, all while those perceptions are shared within a targeted group and entirely invisible to everyone outside it. Whether this capability currently exists at operational scale is unknown. What is documented is that directed energy effects on neural tissue have been studied by military research agencies for decades. The ethical line, studying the brain to cure mental illness, serves humanity. Deploying perception manipulation on civilian populations without consent does not. Core message: don't fear, but do stay informed. Not a unifying project. The goal of a manufactured alien threat is not to bring humanity together in solidarity, it is to extract endless profit and dismantle individual legal protections under the cover of collective emergency. Fear is the product. If the event is staged and fear is the primary output, the antidote is simple: recognize the mechanism, share the information, and refuse to let manufactured panic drive policy decisions. Sovereign nations matter. Legitimate international cooperation, honorable trade, voluntary management structures, differs fundamentally from surrendering national identity and individual voice to a supranational authority created by crisis. What 9/11 taught us about the threat economy. The template. The September 11th attacks transformed the global security landscape overnight. A stateless, borderless enemy replaced the nation-state adversary model. Arms trade revenues skyrocketed. Surveillance infrastructure expanded at unprecedented speed. Civil liberties were curtailed with broad public consent, because the fear was real and immediate. The argument is not that the suffering was fake. It is that the institutional beneficiaries were prepositioned, the policy responses were pre-written, and the emotional climate of fear was the essential precondition for all of it. The alien card as the next chapter. If terror provided justification for the surveillance state, and if that justification is now exhausted by familiarity, the enemy unknown offers a fresh canvas. Unlike a terrorist organization, an extraterrestrial threat has no negotiating table, no geography, no finite budget. Defense spending tied to it could be sustained indefinitely with no measurable benchmark for success or failure. This is the financial logic behind the Bluebeam hypothesis, and why serious analysts, not just conspiracy enthusiasts, find it worth examining. Key principle: a king is heart and mind. A clown is heart only. A dwarf tries to calculate love. This formulation, grounded in the idea that wisdom requires both emotional intelligence and clear-eyed reasoning, captures something essential about how to navigate manufactured narratives. Pure emotional reaction is exploitable. Pure calculation is cold and blind. The integration of feeling and thought is what makes a person genuinely difficult to deceive. Ankh, Amenra, and the language of ancient stars. Buried beneath layers of misinterpretation, many ancient symbolic systems carry a remarkably consistent message. The Egyptian Amenra, often rendered as a divine royal title, can be read as a compound, a, article, plus men, human, plus ra, sun, children of the sun. The Dogon people of West Africa have celebrated the orbit of Sirius A and B every 50 years for millennia, a binary system whose invisible dwarf companion was unknown to Western science until the 20th century. The Sphinx's original gaze, when parallax corrected approximately 10,700 years back, aligns with Sirius on the eastern horizon. Whether interpreted literally or metaphorically, these traditions consistently point toward the stars as origin, destination, and aspiration, a very different relationship with the cosmos than the fear-soaked version a staged invasion would impose. Truth, trust, love, the ancient algorithm. Speak your truth. Without violence, compulsion, or totality. Honesty is the foundation, without it, nothing above it holds. Build trust. Truth spoken sincerely becomes trust in the listener. Trust is the stable ground for every meaningful relationship, personal, political, civilizational. Arrive at love. Love in this framework is not sentiment, it is the force that gives all living things life. It is, as the old traditions suggest, the immortal evergreen, it persists because it works. The absence of this dynamic, not the presence of a supernatural adversary, is what produces the conditions that enable abuse, manipulation, and manufactured fear. The absence of good does not mean good and evil are equal, it means love is missing. Chapter break. Cat stories, news, tips and tricks. From the geopolitical to the genuinely heartwarming, because a life well lived includes both fearless inquiry and the quiet joy of a purring cat in a sunlit window. Here is your practical guide to life with cats. Tips for life with cats. Nutrition basics. Cats are obligate carnivores. High-protein, moisture-rich diets, ideally wet food or a mix, support kidney health, healthy weight, and coat condition. Avoid foods with excessive fillers and artificial preservatives. Daily play and enrichment. 15 to 20 minutes of interactive play per day reduces destructive behavior, maintains healthy weight, and satisfies the predatory instinct. Rotate toys regularly to keep engagement high. Grooming and health checks. Regular brushing reduces hairballs and lets you monitor skin and coat health. Weekly checks of ears, teeth, and eyes help catch problems early, before they become expensive vet visits. Creating a cat-friendly home. Vertical space is essential. Cats feel safest when they can observe their environment from height. Cat trees, wall-mounted shelves, and window perches dramatically reduce stress and territorial conflict in multi-cat households. A high vantage point is not a luxury, it is a behavioral need. Safe hideaways. Every cat needs at least one private retreat, a covered bed, a cardboard box, or a quiet shelf where they are genuinely undisturbed. Respecting this space builds trust far faster than forced socialization. Litter box rules. The general guideline is one box per cat, plus one extra. Boxes should be large, clean, and placed in low-traffic areas away from food. Most litter box avoidance problems are solved by simply adding more boxes or moving them to quieter locations. Scratching surfaces. Provide both horizontal and vertical scratching surfaces near sleeping areas. Cats scratch to mark territory, stretch muscles, and shed claw sheaths, not to damage furniture. Meeting the need prevents the problem. Vet clinic, true friend to your cat. Your veterinarian is among the most important relationships in your cat's life, and in yours. Routine wellness visits, typically once a year for adult cats and twice yearly for seniors, allow early detection of conditions like kidney disease, hyperthyroidism, and dental deterioration that are far easier to manage when caught early. Between visits, watch for behavioral changes, shifts in appetite, water intake, litter habits, or social withdrawal are often the first visible signs of underlying illness. Cats are stoic by nature and will mask discomfort until it becomes significant. Your attentiveness is their first line of defense. Kittens. Vaccinations, spay/neuter, parasite prevention, microchipping. Adult cats. Annual wellness, dental health, weight monitoring, booster vaccines. Senior cats, 7+. Biannual visits, blood work panels, kidney and thyroid screening. Chapter break. Dog training, humane, natural, effective. Good training is not about dominance or submission. It is about communication, clarity, and trust, built one rewarded behavior at a time. Our approach uses natural, humane methods rooted in behavioral science and genuine respect for the dog in front of you. We focus on rewarding what we like. The most powerful insight in modern dog training is simple: behaviors that are rewarded increase in frequency. Rather than punishing what we dislike, we make desirable behaviors so consistently rewarding that dogs actively choose them. This approach produces dogs that are confident, engaged, and genuinely happy, not merely compliant. Positive reinforcement. Food, play, praise, and access to things dogs love, all used strategically at the precise moment a good choice is made. Timing and consistency are everything. Real-world relevance. Training in controlled settings is a starting point, not the destination. We prove behaviors in real environments, parks, streets, busy spaces, so dogs perform reliably when it matters most. Mental engagement. A mentally stimulated dog is a calmer dog. Training sessions, puzzle feeders, scent games, and skill building provide the cognitive workout that physical exercise alone cannot replace. Need a sweetheart? Basic training is non-negotiable. Whether or not you ever step foot in a competition ring, every dog benefits from foundational training. A dog that walks calmly on leash is a pleasure to live with. A dog that sits reliably when asked is safe in traffic. A dog comfortable with strangers is a dog you can take anywhere without anxiety, yours or theirs. These are not performance tricks. They are the minimum vocabulary for a safe, comfortable life in a human world. Basic training is an act of love. It opens doors rather than closing them, and it gives your dog the social confidence to be truly welcome everywhere. Leash manners. Walking without pulling, checking in with the handler, responding to directional cues in varied environments. Impulse control. Sit, stay, leave it, wait at doors, the skills that prevent the accidents and confrontations that end dog freedoms. Social comfort. Calm, appropriate greetings with strangers, children, other dogs, built through positive early exposure and ongoing reinforcement. Dog sports and beyond, when training becomes partnership. Why sports matter even if you never compete. Agility, nose work, rally obedience, herding trials, dock diving. The world of dog sports is a vast menu of activities that deepen the bond between handler and dog. Even if competition holds no appeal, training toward a sport gives sessions purpose, tracks progress, and reveals dimensions of your dog's personality you might never have discovered otherwise. Many handlers report that the dog they trained for a sport became, in the process, the best dog they ever had, not because of ribbons, but because of the shared language they built together. Choosing the right activity. Herding breeds thrive in agility, herding trials, and obedience sports that demand precision and pattern recognition. Scent hounds, natural candidates for nose work, tracking, and search activities. Retrievers excel in field trials, dock diving, and fetch-based games that satisfy the retrieve drive. Terriers, energetic competitors in earth dog trials, agility, and barn hunt events. Any breed, trick training, rally, and canine good citizen work suit virtually every dog. The dog-human bond, it's that design feeling. There is a quality that experienced dog people recognize but struggle to articulate, the feeling of a training session where everything clicks, where the dog is completely present, reading you with total attention, and offering behaviors not because they must but because they genuinely want to engage. It is, as one trainer put it, that design feeling, when form and function and relationship align so perfectly that it feels less like work and more like conversation. That feeling is not reserved for competition dogs or specially bred working lines. It is available in any dog, in any home, through consistent, patient, reward-based engagement. The design is already there. Training just reveals it. Deep dive. Mean, on perception, technology and manufactured reality. A recurring theme in advanced surveillance and perception manipulation research is the concept of layered reality, the idea that what we perceive as objective shared experience may, under certain technological conditions, be individually customized. The following is a conceptual breakdown of the claims, separated clearly from established science for clarity. The screen scroll effect. The claim that real-time monitoring systems can detect what a target individual is viewing, even scrolling on a screen, and insert altered perceptual content that does not correspond to any actual change in the device's memory or output. The perception is modified at the neuroreception layer, not the source. Multisensory induction. The claim that BC and I-class systems could theoretically induce fake perception across all 5 senses, visual, auditory, haptic, taste, and smell, simultaneously. The practical implication would be a complete, immersive false experience indistinguishable from real sensory input. Dynamic object overlay. The claim that the system could apply false perceptual overlays to moving, living subjects in real time, for instance, making a passing stranger appear to look directly at you and speak, while the interaction is invisible to everyone outside the targeted group. Science that heals versus technology that harms. Legitimate neurofeedback research. Brain-computer interface research, including wireless neurofeedback, has genuine therapeutic applications. Studies on treatment-resistant depression, PTSD, Parkinson's disease, and psychopathy are producing real clinical benefit. Understanding how neural circuits malfunction, and how to help individuals regulate them, is one of the most promising frontiers in medicine. This research deserves funding, transparency, and ethical oversight. It is science in service of reducing human suffering, and it will benefit future generations enormously. Weaponized perception manipulation. The same theoretical substrate, wireless influence on neural states, applied without consent, for surveillance, behavioral control, or staged perceptual events, is something categorically different. The difference is not technical but ethical and intentional. The call here is simple: researchers working in good faith toward cures should be protected and celebrated. Those who might repurpose the same science for manipulation of civilian populations should face the full weight of accountability, legal and moral. The ethical line is not in the technology. It is in the intent, the consent, and the transparency of those wielding it. Philosophical corner. On God, language and what words actually mean. Language archaeology reveals something consistently interesting. Words for the sacred tend to trace back to words for the good, the joyful, the generative. The German root God, cognate to the word God in this reading, simply means happiness, good things, what is delightful. The divine, strictive institutional overlay, is just another word for what is genuinely excellent. Similarly, Teufel, devil, reads in Sumerian-influenced etymology as the you that fails, not a cosmic antagonist but a description of destructive error, the absence of the good. Evil, in this framework, is not a competing power. It is a deficit. A place where love is absent, and therefore where things go poorly for everyone involved. The practical implication: focus on adding love, truth, and trust, not on fighting a personified adversary. The adversary is the absence, not a presence. Cargo cults, stars and where we come from. A cargo cult in anthropological terms describes a society that has observed advanced technology and attempts to recreate it through ritual, not yet having the underlying understanding. Applied more broadly, it describes any culture oriented around inherited symbolic systems it no longer fully decodes, performing the forms without grasping the function. The argument here is generous: the ancient Egyptians, the Dogon, the builders of Göbekli Tepe were not primitive. They were cargo cultists of the stars, custodians of knowledge received from somewhere, preserving it in durable symbolic form for a future humanity that might one day decode it. The Sphinx's alignment with Sirius at the horizon circa 10,700 BCE is one data point. The Dogon's precise knowledge of Sirius B, a white dwarf invisible to the naked eye, is another. The Sirius connection. Sirius A is the brightest star in the night sky, approximately 8.6 light-years from Earth. Sirius B is an invisible white dwarf companion. The Dogon have tracked their 50-year orbital period for centuries before Western science confirmed it. The Sphinx's corrected ancient gaze points to Sirius rising on the eastern horizon, approximately 10,700 years ago. We come from the stars. The honest question is whether we live accordingly. Amenra, children of the sun. The compound Amenra, chanted across millennia in Egyptian ritual, carries a literal meaning hiding in plain sight. A, article, plus men, human being, plus Ra, the sun. Children of the sun. Children of the stars. The phrase is simultaneously a cosmological origin statement and an aspiration. Live well enough that your heart weighs no more than a feather, and humanity earns its next journey outward. The weighing of the heart against the feather of Ma'at, justice, truth, balance, was not superstition. It was a civilization's attempt to encode its highest ethical standard in an image durable enough to survive millennia. It worked. We are still reading it. And the standard it describes, a life of lightness, truth, and love, is not a bad one for any civilization hoping to reach the stars with joyful hearts rather than fearful ones. Jesu, J-E-S-S, the grammar of unity. J-E-S-S. Read as compound, J-E, he/it, French/German root, plus es, is, plus us, he is us. A statement not of theological distance but of radical human identification. The teaching at its most distilled, you are me, humanly speaking, and I am you. Te fel. The Sumerian Germanic reading of devil, the you that is missing/failing, reframes God/God. The you that is missing/failing, reframes evil not as a cosmic adversary but as a deficit state, the absence of love, the presence of destructive error. Not frightening. Correctable. God/God. Tracing to the thesaurus entry and German root, simply what is good, delightful, joyful. The divine is not a judge, it is the quality of goodness itself, present wherever love and truth operate together. Reflection. The Holy Grail is a metaphor for truth. King Arthur's Island. Arthur's sword drawn from stone. The Grail pursued across a broken kingdom. Isolde, Isis, Isabella, the immortal beloved in every version of the story. These are not histories. They are compressed carriers of a spiritual algorithm. Truth, born in isolation, generates trust, generates love, generates a kingdom worth having. What has no truth in it has no staying power. What does have truth persists, spiritually immortal, and sometimes, as the pyramids suggest, physically durable enough to last 10,000 years. The practical application. None of this requires mysticism. The same logic operates in everyday life. Relationships built on honesty outlast those built on performance. Institutions that tell the truth retain legitimacy longer than those that manufacture consent. Cultures that value truth, even inconvenient truth, are more resilient than those optimized for comfortable narratives. The Holy Grail is not an object. It is the commitment to truth as a foundational practice, personal, institutional, civilizational. Everything built on it tends to last. Everything built on fear and manipulation tends, eventually, to collapse. On intellectual capital and real ideas. Intellectual capital is not a corporate buzzword. It is the accumulated understanding, hard-won, carefully examined, honestly communicated, that a person, a community, or a civilization carries forward. It compounds over time when shared openly and degrades when hoarded, distorted, or deployed exclusively for competitive advantage. The most durable intellectual contributions in history share a quality. They were made by people who cared more about getting it right than about being the one who got there first. The willingness to say, "I don't know yet," and keep looking is not a weakness. It is the engine of every genuine advance. Good ideas have staying power. They persist because they work, not because someone with authority declared them true. Spread the word, naming the game changes it. 01. Learn the pattern. Understand the historical sequence: symmetric war, asymmetric terrorism, unknown enemy. Recognize that each stage is designed to sustain an industry, not resolve a threat. 02. Share calmly and clearly. Fearmongering serves the same interests as the manufactured threat. Share information with the same quality you want to receive it: clear, sourced, calm, and open to revision. 03. Insist on sovereign voices. Support structures that preserve national identity, individual legal rights, and genuine democratic participation. Voluntary cooperation between nations is legitimate. Coerced surrender of sovereignty under manufactured emergency is not. 04. Hold the line on ethics. Science that heals, yes. Technology deployed to manipulate civilian perception without consent, no. The distinction is not subtle. Name it when you see it. All best wishes. The point of all of this. At the end of every thread in this document, the conspiracy research, the dog training, the cat care, the linguistic archaeology, the philosophical reflection, is the same underlying desire: that people live well, freely, and with genuine access to truth. That children grow up in a world not organized around manufactured fear. That the stars remain something to reach for with curiosity and joy rather than something to fear as the source of the next crisis. The fake alien invasion, if it comes, will be recognizable precisely because it arrives wearing the costume of the thing we already know: fear deployed in service of power, designed to make us feel small, isolated, and dependent on the very institutions that manufactured the fear. Name it. Laugh at it. And then go home and train your dog. Happy is who spreads peace, for they shall be called children of good things. Quick reference: separating claims from facts. Claim. Status. Source/notes. Reagan's UN alien speech. Documented fact. UN General Assembly, September 21, 1987. Carol Rosin/von Braun warning. Documented testimony. National Press Club Disclosure Project, 2001. HARP exists and is military funded. Documented fact. DARPA/USAF Joint Program, Alaska. BCNI/Wireless Neural Influence Research. Active research field. DARPA, NIH, Academic Neuroscience Labs. Weaponized perception at population scale. Theoretical/unconfirmed. No verified public deployment documented. Dogon knowledge of Sirius B. Documented anomaly. Robert Temple, The Sirius Mystery, 1976. Sphinx/Sirius alignment 10,700 BCE. Contested/researched. Robert Bauval, John Anthony West. Resources worth knowing. Disclosure Project. National Press Club, 2001. Over 400 witnesses on record. Searchable archive at disclosureproject.org. Carol Rosin's testimony is a good starting point. The Sirius Mystery. Robert Temple's 1976 investigation into the Dogon's anomalous astronomical knowledge. Controversial but rigorously footnoted. Cat and Dog Care. ASBCA, American Veterinary Medical Association, AVMA, and the International Association of Animal Behavior Consultants, IAABC, all maintain free, peer-reviewed resources on humane training and feline welfare. Neurofeedback research. The International Society for Neuroregulation and Research, ISNR, tracks legitimate therapeutic applications of brain-computer interface research, including peer-reviewed clinical outcomes. True friend. At the center of this whole document, between the geopolitical analysis and the ancient etymology, between the dog training philosophy and the HARP research, is something simple. The truest relationships in most people's daily lives are with animals that ask nothing of the grand narrative, that offer presence without agenda, and that model, without knowing it, exactly the quality the ancient traditions point toward, a heart as light as a feather. Take care of your animals. Question the things that don't add up. Speak your truth calmly and clearly. And reach for the stars, with happy hearts, not fearful ones. Cat Care Tips. Dog Training Guide.